Hi everyone, welcome to one more episode of the Course One podcast. And today we're here with Michael from Marinate team. Very excited for this. We're finally having this chat. The Solana ecosystem has been flourishing for like a year right now, I think. Approximately that. And I'm sure there's just so much more we can uncover. And so Michael, can you perhaps give a little brief intro about what Marinate is, and also curious about your background?
For sure. Thanks a lot, Thalita. Thanks a lot for having me here. Great to be on your podcast. So, hey everyone, I'm Michael. I'm with Marinate. I've been with Marinate since 2021, so the very beginnings. And you could describe Marinate today as like a marketplace for Solana staking. So that what Marinate does is it connects the delegators, the Sol stakers, with the best validators on the network, the most performant ones, which makes it more decentralized since Marinate stakes automatically to hundreds of validators. And it also finds the best yield for the stakers at the same place. So it's a win-win solution. And we started back in 2021 with a different tool back then with liquid staking. But my journey maybe to the crypto and to the building space dates way longer. So on high school, actually, I started building websites. So I completely loved the space where you could open your laptop and build something and deliver value for the people out there. So I loved the internet, started with building websites throughout the classes. Then eventually of building websites and e-commerce sites, we spun up like a marketing agency where we would help the people to also generate traffic to the websites. And now that we have the websites and also traffic on the website, the next step was like, why are they not buying on the website? So the next step was that we started looking into the conversion rate optimization and these kind of things, where we would help companies to get more sales, more conversions on their websites. So really my background is in this design, product, UX space. That's where I come from. And then after the high school study, I decided I don't want to do agency anymore and let's launch software as a service. So we launched with a bunch of schoolmates back then. We launched our startup and went to the startup world. So in the Web2 space, I used to be running a company called Zrap, which used to be a web analytics company, helping people with heat maps and visitor recordings in general, helping the website owners to understand what people do on their site and also to make it better in a visual, better way than, say, Google Analytics, which was the go-to solution for the data. So that's how we started, made a bunch of mistakes there, but also enjoyed the startup life, really got invited to the Y Combinator interview and so on. So we had fun there, but then eventually got run out by the competition. So then took a few years when I got back to the consulting work, when I would be helping again as a consultant to a bunch of e-commerce sites to get their sales up and conversions up. And then eventually I started to play with crypto again as a user in the mid of 2020, where there was this Ethereum DeFi summer craze and so on. So I loved it until the point I didn't like it because I needed to set my alarm clock like 3, 4 a.m. in the morning just to send the transactions with the gas fees low enough. So I started to look at alternatives back then and saw Polkadot and Kusama. So I went through a bunch of hackathons on those networks and also tried to run a validator there. And those networks, every second protocol there was looking into this liquid staking thing. So I started to explore what is that and also looked at Lido. And then out of a sudden, out of coincidence, I joined this team that was planning to participate in the Solana hackathon in February 2021. And only one guy was left of the team back then when I joined it, basically. So we need to get more people on Discord. And that's basically how the Marinate idea started, because through the hackathon in 2021, we participated in the Solana DeFi hackathon. And that was the really proof of concept of Marinate. So since then, a lot of development there, but that's how it all started. Almost like a joke where the American, Singapore, Slovak, Czech, and Argentinian guy met each other on Discord and started something on to build on Solana to make it more decentralized. That was the idea.
That's impressive. It seems to me well. I've been following up with Marinade for a long time now, and it sounds the story of Marinade in the background actually are very relatable, which is like a very iterable, interaction after interaction, building and growing, which is very interesting. And the project itself has been also very resilient, right? Like it's also interesting to me to hear that not long after you started like playing with crypto and building in something crypto, you already like launched a relevant and innovative project as well, because I think Marinade was launched in 2021. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
At the time, not only liquid staking was a very incipient idea, let's say, but also it was like your first crypto project, and you have been like you stick to it until now. So this is very interesting to hear. And a lot has been changing ever since, right? You even mentioned you didn't even describe Marinade anymore as an LLC, which is very interesting for me to hear, because sometimes we just that there's a different feature or product, but you don't really know if the focus has actually fully changed. So perhaps I'd like to discuss a little bit about this evolution for Marinade from an LSC perspective. I think actually Marinade was the first liquid staking protocol on Solana, right?
Correct.
And then I imagine you have like done different attempts, experiments, because Solana is very unique, I would say. And the idea was also quite new. So is there anything that you could share with us that perhaps something that was a bit surprising in terms of a development or a feature that you were just sure that you would be a success and didn't work out, or the opposite, like something that you didn't know was relevant and became something like valuable for stakers or for the ecosystem in general?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those are all great questions. So actually, just after we went through the hackathon, and as you say, it was one of the first projects out there, and it wasn't supposed to be the project, but we ended up doing it at the end of the day because we felt like we could do something good for Solana and what it needed back then, which was make it more decentralized, more robust with this algorithmic automated delegation strategy. So just after the hackathon, we got approached by tens of VCs trying to invest. And then we did the next step, which was reject them all. And we wanted to hurt it. So we said, look, there is 6 months in front of us, and either Marinate makes it or it does not. But at least we will know. We will know without the VC money. We will know without any tokens and incentives. We will just know if people want to use something like this to find the product market fit or not. At least we will know soon enough, so that we don't need to drag it. And I won't need to repeat the same mistakes I made with the previous startup. So we said, look, okay, we have 6 months. And in August 21, we actually launched to mainnet as the first liquid staking solution on Solana. So that felt great. And in a month, the protocol got break even. So we were able to cover up the expenses and everything. So running completely bootstrap with no VC money, we were able to make it with a lot of circumstances around, I would say, a lot of positive things around Solana at that time. For sure, that was the lift, but we were glad to make it. And then we were thinking that liquid staking is going to be the end game really for Solana. Just like looking at the other chains, it seemed to be the same thing. Just we would do the playbook that we saw around, and eventually Solana will be the liquid stake everything. So that was the bet. That's why we built the liquid staking solution, trying to make it in a special way with this DAO community first approach, with no VCs, with this fair launch token and those kind of things, trying to make it right. Because if we were making something fundamental as the security layer of Solana, we wanted to make it right, and we wanted to make Solana better. So that's how we started. But then we realized, so Marinate got from 0 to 6 million install in 3-4 months, and then grew a bit, but then it stalled. and then it's stalled for a few months, it's stalled for a year. And even with some competing products coming to the market, we were not able to collectively get the adoption of liquid staking solution up. And we asked all the same question, why is that? And just to put it in context today, of 380 million SOL staked, you have 27 million SOL in liquid staking. So we are talking 6-7% of the market share, even today. Even today, when we have tens, maybe more than 30 liquid staking solutions on Solana, they all combined have only 6-7%. So we asked the same question, why is that? And probably combination of things, but one fundamental thing was the design of the staking protocol on Solana versus some other chains. So the big difference between Solana and the other chains is that on Solana you have delegation. So really, if you look at ETH, before there was liquid staking solution there, you would need to have 32 ETH, not less, not more, and you would need to be capable enough to spin up your own validator. So then the value prop of a tooling like a liquid staking solution there is just huge. Now, if we compare it to Solana, you have one SOL on your wallet, and within a click, you can delegate it to one of those 1,500 validators on the network, and boom, you are participating in the network security and you're earning staking rewards. So this was just completely different. So a year ago, we realized that our ultimate mission to make Solana decentralized, to make it more stable, secure, censorship resistant, maybe the best chance is not by doing liquid staking, because we are kept by this kind of tiny market, and we can do way more on the native staking side. If we can only have a solution to help people decentralize that.
Yeah, so we realized that maybe the LSDs have a bunch of risk involved, including the smart contract risk, maybe the number one thing. So why people didn't want to put SOL in LSD, because there is this ultimate, you put a SOL into a smart contract, you get a deposit token back. So we made a switch, we go back to the drawing board, and we're like, how we can help Solana at scale, not only in this 5% liquid staking market, but how we can tap into this 20 times bigger market, which is the native staking market on Solana. And it's not, I would not call it centralized, but it can do better. So we were like, how to make sure that even the people on the native staking market can run their staking strategy through this automated thing, through this automated delegation strategy that was supporting MSOL. And that's how the idea of Marinate Native came about to be, because all of those realizations that we can build actually an automated strategy without the smart contract risk, it was just like light bulb moment for us, which is only possible on Solana actually. So yeah, that was kind of the flow from Marinate being the MSOL and being the go-to place for liquid staking to something very else. And we are still not super done with the transition, but this is where we're going, where Marinate is the end thing for Solana staking.
Yeah, that's a lot to unfold. That's very insightful. So I always wonder when it comes to staking, which is something that Course One is like our expertise, right? So I keep thinking about it. All the liquid staking thing, I agree with you. Of course, it's much more valuable when you have a complex staking mechanism like Ethereum with lots of restriction, very inflexible. And then, so in your opinion, so there are two dimensions of value. Let's say that a protocol, like a staking protocol, can bring. One is the liquid asset to be used in DeFi. And the other one, which is like a decentralized, a bit more decentralized strategy in which you don't need to choose one validator. You have like an optimal strategy to distribute the stake for you. So you're saying that you believe that the second one, this latter one, is actually more valuable on Solana than the liquid asset to be used in DeFi, for example?
Yeah, so basically the main thing behind Marinate is this automated delegation strategy that looks on performance of all Solana validators and then runs the algorithm how to split the stake and how to choose the best performing validators on chain. And that's powering currently the both products of Marinate, which is MSOL and Marinate Native. But the LSDs, like MSOL on Solana, we believe that people should really choose the LSD if only they have compelling reason to do it in DeFi ecosystem. But that was maybe at the very start. But then we saw more and more people just holding their LSD on the wallet, right? So if you're not using it in DeFi, why even do LSD? Even if there is
because
any
the APY is also smaller.
Exactly. There are performance fees and so on. So that was another data point to us when we decided, this doesn't make sense. Even if the MSOL contract, it's like battle tested, running for 3 years and audited by 5 different companies, it is still an additional smart contract, let's face it. So we didn't want people to be exposed to that, even to this tiny minimal risk. And that's why we're like, okay, is there a protocol way where people would not be exposed to a smart contract risk, but at the same time can use this automated delegation strategy that would automatically delegate to the best performing validators, tens, hundreds on Solana? And we found out to our surprise that the answer is yes. That's how we started looking at Marinate Native.
Okay, and so perhaps the last question on the LSD focused side, which is then, do you see, is there any value that you see on validators spinning up their own LSDs then, which I think this became like quite a trend right now on Solana?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting experiment, specifically on Solana, that really shines in this composability, meaning that unlike any other chain, probably, you can jump from just one LSD to another very easily. This is great because then anyone can easily spin up their own LSD. They can tap into the existing LSD liquidity, which collectively serves the all LSDs out there. So I think it's a great experiment also for the sake of the Solana network, because the LSDs would combine previously the multiple stake accounts that are out there on a single validator. They can combine it in one. So the Marinate contract MSOL has also like a one stake account dedicated per one validator, which is significantly lower number than if people just stake it by themselves. So it's got some great improvement also for the network itself. I think it's almost like a fun experiment to do it. There are some strange things that could be done with the LSDs. Like I said, currently we have more than 30 probably options of the stake pools on Solana. So we were the first, but we are not the only ones. And it's becoming very hard to choose one over the other. So we want to be committed to how we started Marinate, making sure we do the best for the network. We do the best in some sense for the validators, making sure that they can get stake and they know what are the rules to get the stake. And then we bring the best yield to the delegators. And that's what we stick with MSOL. That's what we stick with Marinate Native. But in general, the single validator LSDs, like I said, nice experiment. Let's see how it goes, because it seems that it didn't really help the whole liquid staking markets to go up.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing your opinion on that. And perhaps before we jump more into how the strategy works and the Marinade V2, which we want to cover today, I'm gonna use a reference here that I don't know if most people are gonna get, but it's like I couldn't help but wonder. Mm-hmm. Can we recall the dark times of like building during bear market? I'm very curious to understand how was the experience for Marinade as a project that has been around for a while and went through the FTX crash, and we saw Solana get to $13. So there's a lot of uncertainty, stress, and if there was a cap on stake with a sol price that 13 might be very scary. So any lessons that you could help sharing with other builders that might be going through something similar on other chains or with their own tokens, etc.
Yeah, for sure. Those were dark times, as you put it, for sure. Came out of a sudden, I think, surprised us all. So definitely it was tough, since just after we launched Marinate, we were 34 people maybe back then. Then a year later, fast forward, we got more than 20 people on the team. And then suddenly the FTX crash, right? Where you have all the team on payroll and the protocol fees, basically making sure that we cover up for the expenses. And the protocol fees of Marinate are not made in the stablecoin; they are made in Sol, which is like dependent on the whole market. And then Solana took a big hit. So then you are good, you're break even, maybe in a profit in a few months, and then out of a sudden you have like 10x less on the bottom line in the USD value. But the team, the contractors are expecting the stable value out of it. So we need to make some changes, scope down the team. Also helped us to come back to this, maybe from this bit more expanding the team too early, coming back to the roots and becoming committed again, more productive. So that helped us there. But our real ultimate vision has not changed on that few days or with this occasion. Actually, quite the opposite. We are thinking this is going to hurt, and it did hurt in the short term. But in the long run, I think it's one of the best things that could have happened. We're glad that it happened, that we're through it, because now the network, it's left out there it's take the whole community much more together. It was super interesting to watch it. That not only us, but there were a bunch of other teams, certainly more than 70 developers on Solana, got together and we're still building, we're still fighting to show to the world out there that the narrative was not this one entity or one guy ruling Solana, but to show the proof. And that stick the whole community together. We are glad to be part of it. And I think that we got out of it way more stronger than before. So we stick to it, we built through it. We were committed, and it seems that now we got rewarded in some sense, that we are believers in the tech. So these, price spikes, especially in the Web3 space, crypto can happen overnight. Even, these past few days, weeks have been a bit turbulent. But we are here for the long run. We believe in the tech. So those are the bumpy roads around. And we still believe that we can really make a significant dent in the next chapter of the internet, so to say, to power it with this crypto. I mean, not only Solana, and we are not trying to be maxis here, but crypto in general, I think, can make a significant change to how we do stuff on the internet, how we transfer, how we transact, and these things.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's rather beautiful to watch Solana ecosystem to turn into something that is actually much more a collective. Mm-hmm. And still very well coordinated, which is it's very nice.
Yeah.
And then one question then, before I think as an intro to understand Marinade V2, would be then the current challenges that you see for stakers that Marinade is focusing on solving. Is it correct to say that is the decentralization of a validator set, or is it something else? What is in your...
Right. So this has also evolved, I'll be honest. So at the very, very start, the main and almost the only thing we would care about was decentralization. So we were thinking that the problem of the network is centralization from multiple views around how to look at it. So one would be say centralization would be one thing, then the illiquidity would be another. That's how we started, making that if you're staking Sol in the traditional way, you don't have it liquid. So if you want to unstake back, you need to wait up to 2 days to unstake your Sol. So we were trying to solve that in some sense. That's how we started with MSol. So this has evolved, this set of the main issues when it comes to staking Solana into another problem set, I would call it. So currently, even if there are solutions, including Marinate or MSol, that try to do this automated way of staking to multiple validators in the set. The issue is that it runs by a smart contract, or for some it is an issue. So they were not comfortable. So the number one risk we see with those solutions is the smart contract risk. So that might be one issue. Second one, I would probably put it as a counterparty risk, meaning that the validators, those are the validators. So I, as a staker, I need to choose out of those 15 1,500 validators on the network. Who do I stake with? So it starts with confusion, and then it goes in this anxiety. I don't know which one to choose, right? And even if I stake, I don't know if they are delivering. I need to constantly watch them. I need to see the actual rewards. They might change commission. They might go offline. So this counterparty risk is very big. That's why I think the institutional players would rather go with their own nodes or some enterprise grade validators like Chorus for sure. So that's the second thing. And then so that's the counterpart risk, the smart contract risk. The third thing, let's face it, it's still yield, I think. So if we look at the multiple solutions out there, and something like MSOL or stake pools, they charge commission on top of the validator's commission. So it's this stacked commissions problem, which then results in lower yield than you could get if you go directly to the validators. So if you would split your stake 100 times and you would delegate to the same Marinate validators without the Marinate protocol, you would be left off with slightly higher yield. Yes, you need to it and so on, but theoretically, those are the stack commission problems. So those three things, I would call it the smart contract risk, the counterparty risk, and then this stacked commission risk are the ones that we looked at very deeply, and that was basically the foundation why we come up with the Marinate V2 program, or the next new chapter of Marinate.
Okay, that's exciting. We're finally getting there. So what is Marinate V2 then? And perhaps how does it change stakers and our operators' experience of staking on Solana?
Yeah, so Marinate V2, to put it short, it's the biggest thing since the launch of Marinate V1. So it takes everything that we learned throughout those 3.5 years of running Marinate and listening to the community and changing, iterating, doing a bunch of experiments really out there. And it takes all that customer feedback and puts it into the next chapter of Marinate, into this next version. So Marinate V2 could be potentially split into 3 fundamental innovations of Marinate that we are baking in right now in this next chapter. So there is Marinate Native, which basically eliminated the smart contract risk. That's the first thing. The second thing, it's a standard called PSR, or Protected Staking Rewards, which makes sure of 100% uptime on the validator side. And then the last thing is a stake auction marketplace, which makes sure that the stake is delegated to the most performing validators out there through the market system. So those 3 things combined, trying to make sure that we take Marinate as it was, this liquid staking solution, and turns it into something that taps into this 20 times bigger market, because it's not only liquid staking anymore, it's the whole Solana staking. It's a huge market out there, and trying to help it make the network more decentralized. So what we learned on the liquid staking side, but taking it with us for native staking too, to make sure that not only the liquid staking people can use it, but anyone can enjoy that. And the ultimate mission or objective of Marinate V2 is to support those 3 fundamental, I would say, users or target groups really on Solana. Those are the delegators, the Solana network, and the validators. Those are the 3 pointers that we think about, trying to make sure that we cater to each of them. So for Solana delegators, it's making sure that Marinate V2 really delivers the best yield in the long run. That's it, the best yield out there. For Solana network, we want to make sure it stays healthy, it stays decentralized, it stays robust, safe, and secure, just like our mission has always been with Marinate from the very start. And to validators, the promise is that the validators are now in control, because throughout Marinate, the rules to get Marinate stake was kind of complex. It was rather exclusive. And now it's a market out there. It's allowing anyone to participate in the market. So as long as validators understand the simpler rules of the game, they can participate, and the next epoch they can get stake, which is again a big lift, a big improvement to how Marinate's strategy was working previously. So those three things in a nutshell. I'm happy to get into specifics.
Yeah, sure. No, that's super cool actually, because you have highlighted the three main challenges, and then you created three features or tools or products that actually combined solve them all. That's amazing. And I'd like to just mention something here for those who are not like very deep into how the staking landscape on Solana. So I think there are 1,500 validators active. Around that, it varies a lot. But the distribution of stake is pretty, let's say, it's not even at all. And what we have seen before this three, what I particularly like about this new approach is that you change the way for evaluating validators, right? In a way that it's rather might be almost impossible, I don't know, or at least very, very difficult to actually cover all metrics in an algorithm, like an heuristic, to say like, these are the 200 best validators without falling into the most reliable ones that will be already the big ones that you probably you want to avoid getting more stake there, but you also don't want to fall to the operators that were good during this particular epoch, but then they run on a particular cloud and then they went offline and lost all the stake, etc. So there are all these complexities with the Solana validator set that not most people are aware, because this is also very different from other chains, right? Like the Cosmos chains, there are only around 100 validators, and this kind of thing. So for example, I think the native part is quite clear for everyone. That's like how you minimize the smart contract risk. Is there anything relevant in terms of the native, Marinade Native, that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, so maybe just fundamentally how it works behind the scenes is that on Solana, if you do traditional in-protocol way of staking, how it was from the very, very start, to put it short, if you stake, you create something that's called a stake account. And on this stake account, you have two authorities. One is called the withdraw authority, and another one is called the stake authority. So you have this split of responsibilities, really, which allows you, because this withdraw authority is like the master authority that can take the SOL back from the stake account. And those usually are the same wallet. Those are pointed to the same wallet, but it doesn't need to be, which is exactly how Marinate Native is structured. So the way how Marinate Native works is that the people still are in complete custody of their SOL, just like when they're doing traditional staking. But on the stake account, they would put the Marinate Native to be the stake authority. The stake authority can only manage the delegation. So it can split, it can merge, it can point the SOL stake to a specific validators that are the best, but at no point it can touch the underlying SOL in the stake account. That's only left to the withdrawal authority. So we were just like, oh, this is huge. This is like a big aha moment for us. This is amazing, because then we can bring to what we did with MSOL to all native stakers. And that's what Marinate Native is about, to eliminate the smart contract risk, but allow you to use this automated strategy.
Yeah, that's super cool and pretty unique as well. But it's still, what I imagine would be the next one, how it links to the next one, is that it doesn't solve the problem of undelegating, right? So that you can actually adjust the validator set. So let's suppose that you have 5 validators who went down, and then you are now missing rewards for that 5 validators and making your APY going down. And that's why you created the bond, I suppose. Can we perhaps talk a little bit about the downtime protection, or the UPSR?
Yeah, exactly. So once we had out Marinate Native, which eliminated the smart contract risk, basically this was out of the way, and this was the number one thing we wanted to do. The next thing we looked at is, because now the institution started to ask about Marinate, because there was no smart contract risk anymore. And that was the starting point with them. Okay, they might be using Marinate now because we eliminated that. It's not an LST anymore. It's like a mature institutional grade product or becoming one. So the next thing that we realized is that one of the bigger institutional delegators, the ones with a lot of solid funds, would usually have off-chain agreement or contracts with their node operators in terms of the service level agreement. So they would do an off-chain contract, and in case the node operator would go down, they would make up for the expected yield to the delegator. This is pretty normal, pretty standard in the Web2 space. So we were like, how we can transfer it and to make it democratic for anyone to participate in the system, how to make it open for anyone to see, how to make it in public. So we built a protocol for that and calling it protected staking rewards. And it works like this, that basically the problem, just to make sure that we understand, is that if you go with a validator, that validator promises 8% yield. But if it goes down for, say, 2 hours in that epoch, say 4 or 5 hours in that epoch, they just delivered only 90% of their uptime. So you're not making 8, you're making 7.2% yield for that epoch, and nobody's going to cover up, right? There were times where, Coinbase Cloud, like one of the biggest validators out there, had 1 hour, single 1 hour of outage. That 1 hour cost their delegators 160 sol in expected staking rewards. And that was just lost. So we were like, how to make it happen? And since Marinate is, in a nutshell, is marketplace and it's open for the validators out there to participate, we don't really know them, but we need to be sure that we protect the users. So the idea what we came up with is this PSR bond, where all validators on Solana that want to be eligible for Marinate stake are required now to put up this deposit or collateral in a sense of bond, which serves there like a deposit that's making sure that you as a validator are going to deliver on the expected yield. So you set some commission and we expect you like nothing less or even nothing more, but say 100%, at least 100% of the cluster average uptime. As long as you deliver, we're all good. But if you're going to do strange things like going offline for a big time or changing commission to bumping it up to some huge number, then we are realizing loss. That's how it happened with Marinate 4 months ago, where we would be realizing basically a loss of those people that would change it. So we introduced this new system 4 months ago where the validators are securing the expected yield by the deposit. And then if something goes wrong, then the protocol would create a settlement from this bond and would cover up any expected yield that was not delivered. So what it means is that one way or the other, Marinade V2 with protected staking rewards delivers 100% uptime for the end users. So this counterparty risk, as I was talking about, again, it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I can't think about a different word to describe. I'm very, very excited about this. And still, this too doesn't cover the third problem, which is actually, this covered the third problem, but doesn't cover the second problem, which is your counterparty risk. Or let's say it doesn't solve for how to optimize the validator set Marinade will be distributing the stake to, right? And so I think that's where the SAM comes into play. Can we, I'm super excited about this one. And can we perhaps describe that for those who are trying to figure out how it works as well, please?
Yeah, for sure. So the last part, the ultimate part of the Marinade V2 rollout is this stake auction marketplace. So just to recap, the Marinate Native has been live since the last summer. So it's running for more than 1 year. Then the protected staking rewards have been out for 3 months, I believe. So it's out there, 100% of Marinate stake. It's now protected by the system. So 100% uptime. What we are rolling out, actually starting just today, is the stake auction marketplace system. So we were thinking how to make sure that the validators have sufficient tooling basically to share any potential upside out of their stake back to delegators. Because we believe that this is currently lacking on Solana. So on Solana, you can set commissions. You can set commission on inflation rewards, and you can set commission on MEV tips. There is no way for a validator to easily share the transaction fees, the block rewards. And then there are additional benefits to having stake on a validator, like stake weighted QoS, and there can be a bunch of other things that we don't really know about. So that got us thinking now what to do about it, because even if validators would like to potentially go negative on their commission and they are still positive on their side, they have no way to do it. So we called the market for the rescue. And the idea is to build this, we call it stake auction marketplace, where the validators, now that they have the PSR bond, which are the deposits to secure that they are going to deliver on their promise, Marinate would allow them to also start bidding out of this deposit. So now validators can bid for the Marinate stake out there in the open. And basically the system would delegate where the best yield is with some constraints. So still the Marinate system would not delegate to the data center, which is overpopulated. So for example, right now, even if the stake auction marketplace takes all the validators on Solana, it needs to exclude 100 validators in the most populated data center on Solana because it doesn't want to add to the problem. And single validator can only receive up to 2% stake of the Marinate's total stake. So there are some constraints to make sure it's still robust and decentralized, but it's very much driven by this objective of passing the most to the delegators, which is ultimately how the market chooses who to stake with on those two vectors, the security and the yield. And we think that we solved it with the stake auction marketplace. So that would be for starters.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this going live and how the market reacts, because I believe it changes quite significantly the behavior of stakers and even operators. Mm-hmm. And I do believe it's much more efficient. It might be, in my opinion, much more efficient than trying to track performance and identifying the best 200 validator set. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is really, really innovative, and I believe one of the best approaches I've seen so far. Unfortunately, I would like to continue this conversation for another 40 minutes. We have a long list of topics that I'd love to discuss, although we are running out of time. So I first would like to ask you, if there's anything you would like to communicate, you'd like to tell to our listeners, and perhaps where they can, people can reach out to you, perhaps Singapore you're going or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. So thanks a lot for having me. We are around on Discord, on Twitter, and on Medium. So those are the usual channels where we put the news updates out there. I would invite you to keep an eye on this stake auction marketplace rollout, because today it seems that we are just starting with the new delegation system. Theoretically, it looks that we are beyond 10% yield on SOL, which is amazing. Seems like very big change from how MSOL was positioned today. So that's a big one. This is going to roll out over the next few weeks. So keep an eye on that. Goes both to MSOL and Marinate Native. And then finally, for sure, with the whole Solana community, I'd be more than happy to meet and greet them back in person, just like we do annually. So see you guys in Singapore at Breakpoint. And we also invite you to StakePoint, which is a full day staking conference that we are running just before the day that Breakpoint starts on Solana in Singapore at the very same venue. So happy to see you there and happy staking.
Yeah, I'll be there too. And we could actually think about the continuation of this, continuing this conversation, perhaps in person during Breakpoint.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was a really insightful conversation. I really enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed as well. And I hope everyone also listening enjoyed. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. And all the best to Marinate and to you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thalita. Thanks for having me. It was great.